Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about a quality adjusted life year and why do you want more of them? Let's imagine for a moment that you're a public health officer or an employee in a public health agency and you have a limited amount of funds that you need to spend on public health initiatives. In the past, you probably did the best you could. You probably looked and said, well, we can do the flu shot. We need to help people with primary care. We could buy a van and drive out, and the van's going to cost us $60,000, then we have to staff it. So you can basically derive a budget pretty easily for all these different interventions. But in the past, we really had no idea how effective some of these things were. So when we talk about cost effectiveness, cost utility, sometimes referred as CUA, just cost utility analysis, or cost benefit analysis, these are there's very fine differences in the definitions, which are all in chapter 14 of your text. But let's not focus on that right now. Let's focus on what the QALY itself is. So what cost benefit and cost utility analysis wanted to do is economists wanted to help public health officials or anybody who's making an intervention to be able to compare the costs. So as I mentioned, quality adjusted life year, all it means is 1 year, okay? So if you're gonna do something such as back in the 60s and 70s when they were making seatbelts required or mandatory for car manufacturers, they could figure out, okay, we can save this many lives if we make everybody wear a seatbelt, and they were able to derive a cost, okay? We can do the same thing with other interventions. For example, putting a driver's side airbag, this has happened probably more in your lifetime, can save $24,000 per quality adjusted life year. So what does that mean? They add up the cost of all those airbags because, what do you think the manufacturers said at first? Oh, we can't afford to do that. That's going to cost too much money. Well, they had to add up all the costs of those airbags, worldwide, estimate them, and then divide it by how many lives they thought would be saved. They could look at the crashes they had where someone died because they went through a windshield, or had a bad, medical cost because maybe they didn't die, but they were seriously injured. And they decided that airbags on the driver's side were $24,000 per quality adjusted life year saved. Okay. Interestingly enough, then they went on to look at passenger side airbags, and because you always have a driver, right? So we would expect that cost to be lower. The passenger side airbag cost per quality adjusted life year is $61,000. That's probably taking into account that you're often driving with no passenger. We know certain other things like the NICU, neonatal intensive care, is $31,800 per quality adjusted life year saved. So in other words, we know NICU is very, very expensive, but they're also saving a lot of life years, right? They may be able to save a life completely in many cases, or at least add a couple years onto a life that may not have done as well without the NICU. Hypertension, if we manage hypertension, we know that that's $9,400 per QALY. Coronary bypass is $36,300. That's a higher number because it's more expensive. And also because when people need a coronary bypass procedure, they tend to be older, so you're not going to save as many life years as you might with something that affects younger people. We know that dialysis is $54,000 per QALY. So you can begin to make a chart, and it's very interesting if anybody is working on this for their papers, to look at, what is the QALY for your particular intervention. And sometimes it's kind of difficult to find this because it's very hard for people to get their hands on publicly available information, but you're beginning to see more and more of this. And so in the end, this is our micro lesson. We're just going to get in and get out. A QALY is a quality adjusted life year, and yes, you do want more of them. And anything that you're doing, you want to make sure you can maximize the QALYs for a minimal amount of cost.